Alrighty, welcome back to episode 25 of Book Nook Brews. And we are finally starting off the month with our new book, which is going to be Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And this episode is coming up a little bit late. We've had a sick co-host.
Yes.
And a potential downfall for me, but I am not sick.
Not yet.
Shut up. No.
Yeah, we've gotten an illness, but luckily it's
It was
going
a quick
away.
one.
It was a quick one. It was, 5 days? Technically right now it's still 5th. Not fully done, but I guess 90% pretty much out of the way.
It's crazy the difference that yesterday you were coughing like every few minutes, and now today it's
one random cough like every hour or something. But then the difference between yesterday and like Monday, or Monday, I attempted going to work because I was like, I feel bad right now, like in the morning. But I just thought it was one of those, obviously when you get up at first, everything's going to feel like garbage because you just woke up. And so I was like, okay, maybe as the day goes on, I'll get better. And it really ended up just going worse. So then I come home after half a day at work, attempted to work from home. And I was like, I'm just going to tap out. I could not. And so, basically moral of the story is every day it was changing like drastically.
yeah.
And then I think today is probably the best I've felt since I started it. Still dealing with some lingering small symptoms, but for the most part, better, and thankfully just in time for the birthday.
Yes, because your birthday is this weekend.
It is this weekend.
You're going to be old.
So by the time this is uploaded, it is still not my birthday. But by the time the second one drops, second episode,
Yes.
it would have been 3 days into my birthday.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You will be 26 for about 3 days.
26, closer to 30.
So,
yeah, but all that to say, like, if you hear us sniffling or there's a random cough in there that I couldn't edit out or something, you know why. We're still dealing with that, but we wanted to get this out. So as long as we're feeling okay to do so, we figured we'd attempt to not fall further behind.
Yet another episode with no brew.
Yes.
Because you are taking medicine and I'm going to take
You're
a preventive medicine later on tonight because I feel the back of my throat kind of itching.
Yeah.
Which is so strange because I did not feel this way in the morning. But, life be weird. So, in spirit, I am drinking a Blue Moon.
And in spirit, I'm drinking a Guinness. But all those in spirits are going to be actually taken this weekend. So
Hell yeah. But this is a pretty lengthy set of chapters.
It's a pretty lengthy book in general.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and start off with the little book blurb.
Yeah.
Before we get into the chapter recaps, which will be from chapters 1 through 7.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into it. So, Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself would perish. Except that right now, he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very long time. And he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. His crewmates dead, his memories fuzzily returning, Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, he must puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he? Project Hail Mary is a tale of discovery, speculation, and survival to the rival the Martian, while taking us to places it never dreamed of going. And that's the blurb for Project Hail Mary.
Now, hearing the blurb, I realize I don't think I read the blurb. I don't know. Like, I remember the last bit, but I don't remember it ever saying, like, his crew was dead, he lost his memories, and all that stuff. So when I heard it in the book, or when I read it in the book, it was surprising. Because I don't think I remember reading the blurb. I know when we got the book, I know I didn't read the blurb. But I thought maybe I had done it when I looked the book up online or something. But I don't know.
No, I felt the same. I was the exact same boat. I thought I had read some part of it, but I didn't quite remember. And so reading like pretty much like the first set, like half of it, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. I was about to start talking about the book, but I guess that just means we got to do the recap so we can get to talking about it. So for this summary, we're using chapter summaries that were made by someone random on Reddit 3 years ago. How old is this book? It was like 2021.
Yeah, I feel like in terms it's fairly recent.
Yeah.
Hail Mary.
All right.
Yeah, 2021.
Okay. So yeah, 3 years ago. So they read this when it first came out. And then it's a little book club page on Reddit. And they made the summary. So I'll just be reading off of those. And then we'll get to talking about it. Okay, so chapter 1. The main character is awoken by a robot asking him what 2 plus 2 is. He is wearing a breathing mask and seems to be confused as to where he is, but he seems aware that he has been asleep for a while. He does notice 2 other people that are in the same room with him, but later realizes that they are both dead. He has a random flashback where he remembers an email that he received saying that there is a mysterious phenomenon that was detected in space that is either absorbing energy or re-emitting it in the form of infrared light. After having this random flashback, the main character climbs down a ladder from the bed he had been laying in, but falls because he is too weak. The robot that woke him up catches him. The robot then feeds him some food that is in a toothpaste-looking container. The main character then does a series of experiments in a lab that he found and comes to the realization that he is not on Earth. Chapter 2. The main character does not want to believe that he is in space, so he starts to think that maybe he is a centrifuge?
Centrifuge? Yeah.
Which would explain the higher gravity. While thinking about this, he has another memory where he is having dinner with a friend and that she says there is a phenomenon stealing energy from the sun and that this could cause massive crop failure and mass starvation. He later has another flashback where he is watching a NASA broadcast and they mention that they discovered that this phenomena were little black dots that could be microbes around Venus. Later on, the main character realizes that he is on a spacecraft and that he has lost his crew, so he becomes emotional. He also figures out he was in a medically induced coma. At the very end of the chapter, he comes to the conclusion that his occupation was being a school teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Chapter 3. The main character has another flashback where he is visited by a person named Eva? Eva, like Wally, named Eva Strat at school. She is a member of the Petrova Task Force, which is studying the mysterious phenomena that is absorbing the sun's energy. It is through this memory that the main character learns that his name is Dr. Ryland Grace, and he is told that he is going to be in charge of studying this phenomena more closely, since he wrote a paper about how water is not necessary to survive, and this phenomena survives on the surface of the earth where water is not available. I guess they meant sun.
Yes.
The surface of the earth when water is not available. After having this flashback, he is able to recall his name, so he is now able to open the hatch that leads him into a control room. Here, he finds that the spaceship is called Hail Mary. He recalls that while he was studying this phenomena, he found out that the tiny dots were able to store a lot of energy that they were stealing from the sun. He came up with the term astrophage. How are you saying that? Astrophage? Astrophagy?
Astrophage. I think that's how I said
astrophage.
it.
Okay, cool.
I was thinking about it.
He came up with the term astrophage for the black dots. Lastly, through a series of calculations that he gathered from the monitors in the control room, he realizes that he is in a different solar system. Chapter 4. Ryland Grace starts freaking out about being in a completely different solar system. He also notices that the fuel that is being used to power the Hail Mary are astrophage. He then has a flashback of him working with astrophage by himself, and discovers that it can be killed by simply poking it, and that it is made of oxygen and hydrogen, meaning that it is made of water. Therefore, his theory about not being made of water is wrong. After discovering this, he is sent back to work as a school teacher. After telling his students about the effects that astrophage could potentially have, he decides to go back to work on the project because he does not want his students to experience a sixth extinction. Ryland Grace also decides to give his crewmates a proper burial, so he releases them into space. He discovered that his crewmates were named Yao Li Ji, and Olesia Ilyukina, I guess. Lastly, Ryland Grace realizes that his mission was to send information back to Earth through these pods called beetles, but that he was not expected to return to Earth. Chapter 5. The chapter starts with a flashback from when Dr. Grace was experimenting with astrophage in the lab. After being put back on the project, he decided to study the life cycle of astrophage and managed to breed them. This resulted in him being able to make more astrophage for further research. After this discovery, Dr. Grace was taken to China in order to explain to other scientists how he was able to breed astrophage so it can be mass-produced. This is where he first hears about Project Hail Mary. He is told that astrophage has been infecting several local stars aside from the sun, but that a specific star called Tau Ceti has not been infected, despite being surrounded by other infected stars. Dr. Grace is told that he will be mass-producing astrophage so that it can be used as a fuel for a ship called Hail Mary that will travel to Tau Ceti. Chapter 6. After having a flashback that reminded him of the purpose of his mission, he decides to start researching why Tau Ceti is not affected by astrophage. He first starts exploring the ship and figuring out what all of the controls mean. He finds out that 13 years have passed on Earth, and he comes to the crushing realization that he will die alone. He starts feeling overwhelmed, so he decides to shift his focus to trying to figure out how to operate the ship, since he is scheduled to arrive at the solar system where Tau Ceti is located in 5 days. While doing this, he has a flashback about Strat talking to him while planning the Project Hail Mary mission. She mentions that she is worried that a 3-man crew will not survive the trip to Tau Ceti because they will experience terrible psychological effects from being cramped in a small spaceship for years. She mentions this becomes even more stressful when the crew knows that they will die on the mission. She tells Dr. Grace that the only way to prevent this from happening would be to put the crew through medically induced comas throughout the duration of the trip. She also mentions that those that are more likely to survive these comas are because they have a coma resistance gene. This gene can be found in approximately 1 million people. After having this flashback, Dr. Grace realizes that he must have had the coma resistance gene while his crewmates did not, and that is the reason why he was put on this mission and the reason why he survived this long. After the 5 days, Dr. Grace arrives at the solar system where Tau Ceti is located. Upon arrival, however, he encounters what looks like to be an alien spaceship. Chapter 7. The chapter starts with Dr. Grace trying to figure out where the other ship came from. This ship is about 3 times the size of the Hail Mary, and it can also see the Petrova frequency because they are able to detect Dr. Grace's ship. He decides to call the other ship Blip A and realizes it is being controlled by an alien life form. The Blip A offers Dr. Grace a cylinder about the size of a coffee can, which he must go outside of his ship to get. Once he obtains the cylinder, he finds that it contains ammonia and is extremely hot to the touch. At this point, he also starts wondering why the laboratory is set up in a way that it will experience gravity when he is in zero gravity. And that is the end of our first set of chapters.
What an interesting concept this has.
Yeah. At first, I didn't know how I felt about the whole back and forth between flashback and present. While I do like the point of view changes in other stories, this felt a little more off because it wasn't a point of view switch. It was just, like I said, flashback. So I didn't know how to feel about it. But the further we went into it, the more I started liking it, because we're figuring this all out with the character.
Yes.
Because otherwise, I also like the concept, but because like the concept of going back and forth, because that gives the author opportunity to introduce other people into the story. Because otherwise, it would just be Ryland, and that's it. So I think it's a pretty good, I guess, writing style. I like it. At first, like I said, I didn't know how to feel about it. I was kind of actually not liking it.
Really?
How it just went back and forth. I think I got confused a couple of times. It was one of those where I had to go back and reread a bit. But now that I kind of know how the pattern is and know when it like cuts off into a memory and stuff like that, I like it now. And it's very interesting.
I've got to say, the first time the flashback happened, I did think it was a little odd. I think it was just that first point of going back.
Yeah.
But to me, I actually liked like the back and forth, or the how the author ties in the flashbacks. I think they do it very seamlessly.
Yeah.
And makes it easier to read. And once you, like you said, you get the hang of it, you're like, oh, okay. And it does feel as if you're just finding this out just as the character is. Because at first, we had no idea what their name was. Yeah. And then he's getting these flashbacks of things that he's done in the past. He's like, oh, wait. So I like this.
Yeah.
Maybe I was this. Oh, I was a teacher. And all this stuff. It was nice to kind of go through that realization, because it made it feel a little bit more real, to where other points I feel like I've seen it to where they like will remember everything like within like the next 2 pages or something.
Yeah. It's like we're trying to figure out where the plot is going and all this info, like in any other book, but it makes it feel a little bit more connected because so is the character.
Yeah.
You know, so you feel that connection of, okay, we're trying to map this out, but so is Ryland. I will give it a shout out for mentioning Guinness.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. As soon as I saw that, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
It was it was one of the flashbacks,
Yeah.
right, where he was with what was her name? That it was that lady that
The
was
one who
taking
told
into
them
the
like they had a
Strat,
like a really
no?
rough. No, it wasn't Strat.
No.
But it was like his colleague or something. But she was there and he had asked her, "How was work?" And she's like,
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
it was rough.
It was just like a ranting
Yeah.
time. Yeah. And then they were somewhere, right? They were like at a restaurant or some
bar,
or something like
restaurant.
that. They brought up Guinness for him, and what was it for her?
A martini? Or am I making that up?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I could have sworn it was a
it's
martini.
cocktail, but yeah. But yeah, I just thought it was very cool that was mentioned. So this is already my number one book of all time.
I knew it. As soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I also just really like the way they're, well, right now so far, the way that they're doing aliens. Like, it's these black dots that have life. It's not this huge green thing or like I don't know, so far, because now we're dealing with this ship.
Dude.
Right? That could be a whole other thing. But it's not going the direction I thought it would be going. I mean, like I said, I don't remember reading the blurb, so I didn't even know he wasn't going to have a crew. I didn't know all this kind of stuff. So to me, I'm going into this like completely blank and basically figuring it out completely 100% with Ryland. So far I'm very surprised. I like the bit that I remember from the blurb was, it was like he's going to be helped by an unexpected what did it say? Unexpected ally or something like that.
This blurb doesn't really say like an ally, but it does say with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he?
Yeah.
At least that's what my blurb says.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's different blurbs out
I
there.
think the one online had said he's getting help from an unexpected something.
I'm pretty sure I've seen that
Yeah.
that one before too.
So that's what I remember, and I like at some point I was like, oh yeah, it's probably gonna be like a twist or something, right? Where it's gonna end up being a human, but it's probably gonna be someone that he wasn't getting along with or something like that. And then I did think it could be aliens, but like the obvious alien type of thing. And I was like, I don't know. I don't usually like alien stories like that, just because they always go for like either these green things,
Yes.
or these horrifying black figures, right?
Yeah, like the ones from that movie you wanna watch.
Yeah.
That's-
So it was like it would either go one or the other, and I hate how that is like the, what do you call that? The
Standard stereotype.
I guess, yeah, standard for alien, considering we've never seen one. So people could like,
To our knowledge.
yeah, people could experiment with this stuff, but they all go to either or. You know, if they're friendly, they're
Yeah.
green. If they're evil, they're these black monster type of things. So I'm interested that this chose to do black dots as some alien life form. And then now I can't wait to see what is in that alien spacecraft, because we don't even have it confirmed that it is an alien spacecraft, right? He's assuming it is, but we don't know what is in that ship yet. So
Or why they're there either, because they're
Yeah.
also just right there by this other solar system.
yeah, but who knows? It could
Which
be
is
just another
crazy.
ship of humans that are doing the same thing, or whatever, right? So I'm excited to keep going. At first I thought, oh wow, these chapters are going on for so long.
They're lengthy.
Yeah. But as we find out more and more, I want to keep reading on it. It's like, yeah, they're lengthy, but at the same time, they offer you so much good information that you just at some point just don't mind it. And so, yeah, that's I'm excited to find out where this alien stuff goes.
Mm-hmm. You're wondering if they're going to drop the ball?
I don't. That's the thing. We've heard so many good things about it. I don't expect them to. But at the same time, I don't know what all those people that gave this good reviews, like, I don't know what their ideas of this alien stuff is, right? So they could love the whole green thing or the black monster thing, and they think it's a great story. But to me, like I said, who has that problem with that being the standard, if that goes into that, yes, that will drop my view of
the
it.
book.
If it's still a great story, I'm gonna rate it on the story or whatever, but that will have me depressed because of like the big ratings that this book has and all that stuff. But I'm excited. Like, apart from the alien stuff, I'm just excited in the story. I really like that connection of figuring it out along with the characters. So it's like the book is written, but not really, like like the book is written from the author, obviously, but
as if it were the point of view of the character
as he's writing it.
Yeah.
And I think that's very satisfying, I guess is the word. And the fact that this is being considered a movie, right?
It is going to be a movie.
I just hope the movie does the same thing. Like it gives you that same feeling. Sorry, obviously they're going to do the same thing. Well, I say obviously, but a lot of movies.
You never know.
I'm not going to go into a rant, but yeah, I'm excited. This is a good movie concept as well.
Yeah, it has a really different storyline. I feel like this is very different. And at first I was like, oh gosh, I'm not going to lie. The book kind of made me depressed because I started to think, I was like, what if this is happening right now? And in some form, it kind of is with climate change to make it a little bit sadder. But I started thinking about it. Like, the book has me thinking about real life. And then it got me depressed and I started getting existential like crisis. I was like, wait a minute. Like, what happens after this? Little things like that. But aside from that, I found it very interesting that I started to talk about a second solar system. And it just boggles my mind. It's like, well, how do we have even the capacity to get there? Like, it'd be cool if we did the technology to have, like, right now to just get that far. But
who knows if they could come back, though?
Yeah.
It's just like this book. Like, I don't know if it's true, but based off the stuff that, I've seen and I've read, and then along with this book too, is with the whole light year thing, like the time change. I don't know if that's been proven and that's why it's being used so much, but I feel like that could be a very deciding factor as to why we haven't tried. Because it's like, who are you going to get to go up there and be like, hey, the mission is actually like 2 years, but you're going to lose 13 years in time over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who are you going to get that is going to be like, oh, hell yeah, sign me up?
Buzz Lightyear.
No, because even he didn't know it was going to do all that. Like, he figured it out as he went, but at some point he was like, all right, this is too much. Who are you, like...
Yeah.
And you haven't seen Interstellar either, and we need to. because
Yeah.
this is very much around this type of stuff as well.
Okay.
And it deals with that whole thing too, the whole time, essentially time travel, right? And it's like,
Time is relative, my friends.
to me, it's like, even if we had the technology to do it, could we find the people to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always going to be that one person that's going to be like, oh yeah, I'll go make history. But then you get hit with that, and it's like, is that worth making that history for?
I guess it depends on the kind of person it is too. And it has to be someone who's very independent or just not very attached to any sort of like living per se here on earth or family, and is solely wanting to dedicate their life to just being able to discover as much as they can of space to even just bring that back. Like maybe it's not even much of a like to make history, but to be able to figure this stuff out, to bring back that information to the people like at home per se.
Yeah.
Like maybe that is the sort of satisfaction that someone may feel, and maybe that's the kind of people they would have to look for rather than someone who's just wanting all the glory for it per se.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe, but I mean until we can get some astrophage, we're never gonna have a spaceship that lasts that long.
Yeah, no.
Because
some of the ones here barely make it out of the Earth's surface.
Literally, like that's one of the main reasons why a lot of like space travel is very difficult, is because of fuel. Yep. How are you gonna get a spaceship out there and have it last as long as you want it with not enough fuel?
Yeah.
So at least in this book, you know, you got the astrophage to use that to your advantage, which is pretty dope. It's that sick.
Yeah.
But well, maybe this is just a stupid question, but like, if you don't have enough fuel, can't you just use like a solar panel to like to charge the spaceship, make it electrical or something?
No.
You know what I mean?
No. That's not how the sun works in space.
What?
Yeah.
So it works down here to give us electricity, but it can't work up there to get a spaceship moving?
I don't think so. Because here
they probably would have done it by now, but I'm curious as to why that's not efficient or not working.
I don't think you get sunlight all the way like around in the solar system. Like you'll have to be in certain positions.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Zoinks. My half of my brain cell was almost there, guys. Half of my brain cell was almost around the thought. But yeah, when I was reading it here on the couch and I looked at you, I think you had just gotten out of the shower, and I told you, dude, I wish I would have like stopped the chapters right at chapter 6.
Yeah.
Because that's when he discovered the ship, and I was like, ooh. Yeah. That would have been so bad just to end it there. But I'm merciful, and I ended it.
I mean, either way, it kind of still ended there, except now he has that cylinder with, what is it? Ammonia?
Ammonia.
What is that?
Do
we know what that is?
Some chemical? Bad chemical?
At first, I thought it was just like
a chemical you can use with a reaction per Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood to make a boom.
Ammonia is a chemical compound of nitrogen and hydrogen.
And you can use it to make it go boom.
It's a refrigerant gas to purify water supplies and in the manufacture of plastics, explosives, fabric, pesticides, dyes, and other chemicals.
Ta-da!
Huh. So, okay, so it gave Ryland a chemical compound.
Why? Of all things, why?
Could it know that it's running on astrophage, and that could help him out.
Oh, interesting. I did not think about it like that. I thought it was purely random. But why would it be purely random?
Unless it's like a gift offering.
Which is a very strange gift offering.
Yeah.
At least here on Earth. Other people may accept it as the greatest gift, like, for anything.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm very invested, and I'm ready to keep going.
I'm stoked.
Yeah.
These chapters are very long, but they're very, like, at first, I was like, okay, I need to kind of get through it. But then I think it was at some point in chapter 3, I was like, oh, I'm hooked. I need to keep reading. So, I'm stoked to see how these next few chapters are going to go.
Yeah.
And how much we get to find out. I'm assuming we're going to make contact with the ship. At least I hope we make contact with the ship.
I think so. I don't think we're going to go 6-7 chapters without.
Right.
I mean, we're right in front of it now at this point. I don't think we're going to go dancing around it for 6 chapters.
I hope not.
Yeah.
But I'm ready to find out who our new bestie is.
Unless that's not the bestie.
Aw.
And we find that unexpected ally later. And this is an obstacle for now. Who knows?
A very big ship obstacle. Blippe.
Yeah.
I'm stoked to read some more.
Yeah.
Which brings us to what the next set of chapters will be for next week. So next week, the next set of chapters will be chapters 8 through 15.
Yep.
And we'll cover the next big chunk next episode. Hopefully we get to find out who's in that ship, what do they want, and maybe they have some information that can help us back on Earth, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's still supposed to be sending stuff, apparently. So.
Which I wonder, is he having, like, even I don't think he's having communication with Earth. Like,
no,
I don't think there's anything that advanced to do that. So, truly, the man's on his own.
Yeah. I think it's just enough to send stuff over, like send data over to them. That's pretty much it. I don't think he's going to be receiving anything. So. Yeah, I guess till next week. And we'll keep reading.
See ya.
See you.